Welcome to Lark Mustang II suspension installation part 6. I guess it's been about 4 weeks since my last video, so I guess it's time for an update. As you can see, the front end is finally on. Had to remove and replace this about 4 times trying to get things right. We did have a problem with the springs. The springs that were supposed to be for the weight of this car I ordered, and they were a 425 pound per inch deflection. When I put them on the car and let the car down off the lift and got the weight on all fours, they wouldn't deflect at all. The car was at the top of its suspension travel. Even getting a few people to stand on the frame horns wouldn't deflect it at all, so they had to come off. So we put the springs that came in the kit, which are for a Pinto or a Mustang II, and they seem to be okay. Letting the car down and having a couple people stand on the frame horns, they deflect a little bit, so I guess with the front end and the rest of the parts on, it ought to be somewhere in the ballpark. But that's the luck I usually have with springs. Inside, the 11-inch rotor's clear and the caliper's clear okay. However, these 15x7 Jeep wheels, the caliper just touched a little tiny bit on the center section of the wheel, so I had to put the 1-inch spacers back on, which actually gives a little bit wider tread, and which I had used before, so I guess we'll have to settle for that. Don't want to go to 16-inch wheels or bigger because I want to retain the Studebaker hubcap and give it that nice sleeper look for the street. We have the master cylinder Hydroboost mounted, using a Hydroboost for the Mustang rack and pinion, and we'll also have power brakes. The boost is right here. I haven't been too familiar with these things, but online read up on them, and they're nice and compact. This one has been clocked 180 degrees. This is the accumulator. That's usually on the other side, but rotated this way gives you plenty of clearance. As you can see, I'll be able to remove the valve cover and do other service on the car. I really didn't have time for the vacuum type. I didn't have the room, rather, for the vacuum type power booster. That would have fit here, and it would have been just too big. The fender, inner fender well comes across this way, so I wouldn't have room for it. But it should give you plenty of choke chain stopping power, according to the magazine article. That was back in Carcraft back a few months ago, so I saved the issue, and looks like it's going to work out pretty good. The steering column is from an S10, and it has a 1-inch double D fitting on the end here, but it's hollow. The steering shaft came out of a 79 Mustang, which bolted up to the rack and pinion, fit right on, and the length came out to be perfect. This will slide in. This is a 3/4 double D, which maybe you can see here. I guess you can. And that'll slide right in the column. I've already had it bolted on, but I've had to remove the column for some other adjustments. So we saved some money there, probably a couple $100 over a Borgeson setup. And it looks like it's going to be working out fine for me. Okay. This was a challenge here. Here's a plate. This is just marked up here. It's just loose, just for fitting. But this plate goes across the original steering column opening. What my problem was that the firewall, it curves up here. It curves towards the front of the car, and also it curves here. And if you look at this firewall, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but this whole thing is curved. So it's like a parabolic reflector. It curves up this way, and then it curves this way. If I had the ability and money and time, I suppose I could have made a new firewall for it, but we got it to work. What I did here is I cut a slot in the curve, slid this plate through the slot, and that made it square with the chassis and the firewall. I'm going to be welding this in and then filling this in with some material because there'll be a slight gap. But that worked out pretty good. Saved some money on this. The brake pedal I'm using came out of a Chevy Astrovan along with the Hydroboost. Let's see it here. This flange lines right up with the Hydroboost, and I fit it up inside there. I'm going to have to make some modifications to the brake pedal. It's a little bit long, and also it goes over too far. It'd be great if I had was missing a right leg. I could use my left leg to stop on it. But anyway, I'd have to modify that here. But this is LKQ Parts, your local U pull it, and help save some money on the project. So I'm pleased with the way it's going. Doesn't look like a whole lot of progress, but I guess when you're trying to make all this stuff fit, it does take a lot of time. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and we'll get another video, an update as soon as I can. Thank you again. Bye-bye.